A brand new Marvel Snap season is almost here, and if you're not careful, you can succumb to FOMO and end up wasting a lot of your token supply. So let's break down which cards in April are actually look like they're going to be worth it and which ones don't. Hey, what's up everybody? Kicker of Elves here. Hope you all are having a fantastic day today. We've got a new season of Marvel Snap upon us, and with that comes a whole set of new cards. This video today is going to give you my early impressions on these cards so you can hold on to your precious collector's tokens and optimize your spending. As well as it's always fun to look back on these type of things at the month's end, and the surprise card ends up being the best one and all that. But let's jump into it with the season pass card for the month. Strife. Strife is a 4-cost, 6-power card with the text objective. Play 3 on reveal cards, and then if you meet that condition, use the highest cost on reveal in your hand. I think this card is going to be pretty dang strong. It's early to say, but could be the card of the month. I think this is such a perfect fit, and just off the top of my head, like the Doom 2099 list that's going around. Oftentimes you're looking at that and being like, do I Aurora, do I Doctor Doom, or do I Galactus First Steps? Well, with this, pretty easy to get those 3 on reveal cards. You got your Cosmic Ghost Rider. That deck tends to run a lot of objective and end of tourney cards because of the Aurora type stuff, but there could be some pretty easy modifications. Like for example, instead of Hydra Bob, you run a Silver Sable. Silver Sable is a bad example, but like it is very easy to play 3 on reveal cards. And then for that one, turn 6, boom. If you play your Doctor Doom, you're going to copy the Aurora. If you don't play either of those and you play Galactus First Steps, he's going to end up doing it. That's very, very strong. At a 4/6, the base stats aren't great, but it's pretty easy to target this because you're saying it's not use an on reveal card. It's use the highest cost on reveal in your hand. So out of the gate, this is probably a pretty easy 8 out of 10. This is also great for lower collection level players. If you're just getting started, this is your first season pass card. This can go with pretty much anything. Like this doesn't scream a card that like, it's not like a move specific card. This could be a good stuff card, which I'm not traditionally a huge fan of, but I don't look at this and say this has one specific deck archetype it goes into, but the effect is pretty intimidating. Now let's talk the super premium season pass card. This is a skill Techno-Organic Virus. 1 cost. On reveal, copy this card to your hand with +2 costs. So you play it, it does its thing, it comes back to your hand as a 3-cost skill. Infect your other cards here. Replace their text. When you replace their text, they change to ongoing +1 power for each Techno-Organic Virus you've played. This is a tough card to evaluate. This is a card that's going to want to go in like a Sauron list where you have cards like Red Skull, Typhoid Mary, where you love their body, you love their body, you love their stats, but you really don't like their abilities. This is you're not going to play this in a Moonstone ongoing list. But looking at this, I'm trying to balance I think this is a really cool card. I'm interested in trying to make this work, but I wonder with that increase in cost, like you're probably going to want to run Quinjet in there. And then there's a lot of, Marvel Snap, there's a lot of cards you want to play for their abilities. And this wouldn't really go on like a Patriot list, for example, or like, the Rock list that's going around because you want those cards to not have abilities. Granted, if you're doing just Ozymandias stuff, maybe this does go in there because you're buffing up those rocks and Ozymandias doesn't care about the actual text on the rocks, the fact that they're no ability cards, it just cares that they're rocks. So this is a wild card. I do enjoy when they get a little creative with the skills here. I'm going to shoot. I feel like this might end up being like a 6 out of 10. I feel like it coming back. And it comes back as even if you have Quinjet, it comes back as a 2, then it comes back as a 4, and then a 6. Like you're not going to be able to play a lot of Techno-Organic Viruses naturally, and the one power you're going to do, like this is a 1/3 if you play it on base into a full location. You don't care about its text, like the cards there. That doesn't feel strong, doesn't feel great. So initial reaction is if you're worrying like, should I shell out the extra money for the super premium season pass card? It doesn't look like you're going to need to do that. All right, let's talk about the actual Series 5 cards being released in here. We've got Wolverine Horseman of War, our third Wolverine card. We went 3 years with only one Wolverine, and then we got Weapon X, and now we've got another Wolverine card. Series 5, he is a 4-cost, 3-power card with the text Objective. This has 5 or more power. When you meet that condition, give one of your cards at each location plus 3 power. So let's say you get this to 4/5. I could say you can just do that. This becomes a 4, what is that, plus 9, 4/14. Pretty good. So what's interesting about this is one of those buffs you want to have happen at the end of the game, for example. Like what you don't want to do unless you've got, you turn 1, you play a Quicksilver, turn 2 Domino, turn 3 Forge, all those each in different locations, turn 4 play your Wolverine to proc that off. Like, you want to make sure that your board is set up as such that that you maximize the effect. Like, you definitely care about getting the +3 at each location versus just 1 or just 2. And it is definitely harder to just play down a card and then buff it after the fact if it's not a 3-cost or an ongoing or thing like that. Like Forge is probably his best friend in that regard, but you're playing it in kind of a weird condition. Is that your turn 6? Are you forging Wolverine on turn 6 and then just having the buff go off? It's interesting. It is interesting. You only need to get him to +2, so a Forge would work. There's locations like Muir Island, but you can't just Blue Marvel this. Like, there's not a lot of reliable ways to back buff cards, especially in a targeted capacity. Like, could you play this with a Gwenpool? Yes, but it's random, and it needs to be hit. It could hit your other cards too. This is creative. I will say, just out of the gate, regardless of how strong this card is, I like it a lot more than like the Caliban, the Juggernaut Horseman of War, where it's kind of just like, do a thing, get stat. This is a unique deck building challenge it's introducing, and it's not just like play the game and you'll get stats. I think this is pretty good. I think it is easier to get this than a lot of other, it's easier to do this than Techno-Organic Virus, that's certain. So I'm gonna say this is probably a 6 or 7 out of 10. I know I said Techno-Organic Virus was also a 6. That might be that might be me shooting high and just hoping for this, but the payoff of +9 power spread across 3 locations may not be worth the targeted buffing that you're going to need to do to get Wolverine Horseman of War. And playing him out as a 4/3 is just absolutely terrible. Next is Archangel Horseman of Death, a 2-cost 3-power card with the text Objective. Your cards are destroyed 4 times. And if you meet that condition, you will resurrect 1 here with +4 power. This is kind of like a Dormammu card. If this works in line with how typically the destroy text cards work, it's not going to count things like Deadpool. It's not going to count Wolverine, like where the destroy effect happens to it, but it comes back. It needs to actually be destroyed. So Dormammu wants stuff that's permanently destroyed. And at a 2/3, that's a good stat line. It's lower on the curve. As long as you're just destroying cards and not just trying to do the Deadpool headpool slam down, getting 1 back at 4 power, it is asking you to play a destroy deck. That is the requirement, but it's not asking you to play any specific way beyond just the challenges in deck selection. Are you playing a destroy list? If yes, then he's going to play for 2/7, which is good. But when we care about words like double, multiplying, when Fin Fang Foom's absorbing an entire location, when Man Spider can multiply on top of multiply, when Gambit can just wipe this guy off the board before he gets to do his effect, I think this doesn't go much higher than a 7 out of 10. Next, Polaris, Horseman of Pestilence. She is a 2-cost 2-power card, so another lower on the curve card. Objective, cards in play are afflicted with -5 power. If you meet that condition, put a card from your hand here. So this is them giving Afflict a little bit of love. I think Afflict has been in a really, really poor spot for months on end now. Ajax just doesn't get big enough. Luke Cage just free rolls your deck guarantee. You're often trying to run your own Luke Cage. Afflict just really hasn't been a wise like deck archetype, assuming you have access to a full collection or close to collection complete, or even just have another deck you can play. Like Afflict really hasn't been it. So I don't think this resurrects Afflict. I think this is a good card. It is very similar to Archangel. It is asking you. The challenge isn't in playing in a specific way. Like the challenge is very different from Wolverine Horseman of War, where it's saying you got to do something very specific during the game to activate me here or achieve my objective. Archangel and Polaris are both saying pick this specific kind of deck and put me into it, and then just play that deck like normal. Pulling a card from your hand here could be good if you can cheat out if you're cheating out a Malekith, if you're cheating out your Ajax, if you're doing something like that, that could be good. But it is the deck is just so poor that I don't know if this is going to do enough to resurrect it. Like even just getting a free Ajax, like is that enough? And then you gotta hope that it's hitting your Ajax and it doesn't just pull your Malekith when you've got all your all your less than 4 cost cards on the board. Even then it's like a 2/8, which is good, but it is additive scaling. So I'm going to give this like a 4 out of 10. If Afflict was better, if I believed more in the Afflict archetype, I would put this higher, because I do think this is a cool ability. This is a unique way to try and infuse some life into Afflict. But I think Afflict is so behind the 8 ball in terms of power output that I don't think this is enough to revive it. All right, last series 5 card, Storm, Horseman of Famine. She is a 3-cost, 2-power card with the text objective, end 2 turns in a row with unspent energy. If you meet that condition, she will give your other cards here and in your hand +2 power. So that's a very powerful effect. I'm very wary about anything that's asking you to skip energy. This feels like a Star-Lord card, which I super don't like. But it's end 2 turns in a row with unspent energy. So like, it's not just end 2 turns. You've got to make sure that you are floating. If you float on 1, if you don't have your 1 drop, but you play a key 2 drop on 2, and you want to get your Victoria hand down, that screws it up and you have to float on 3 and 4. So that condition is going to be harder than it looks. But even if you just skip, a lot of decks want to skip turn 1, and then if you don't play a 2 cost on 2, give your other cards here and in your hand +2. That is a huge buff. That's a huge buff. I typically don't like the kinds of decks that she's going to want to go in, but that's so strong. That is so strong. Like just like the numbers you can get out there. It's a 3 cost, so you can do this on like a Brood. Like, are you doing this on like in a Surfer list, perhaps? Like you're buffing Sebastian Shaw. Like all those Surfer cards care about getting the number buffs on them. I'm gonna give Storm here an 8 out of 10. This is definitely the most inherently powerful card I've seen this season since Strife. I still think Strife is better, but Storm's looking really strong. We got some Series 4 cards. Deadpool Diner coming back. Grand Arena. Ascani apostrophe sound, I'm probably butchering that, is a 2-cost, 3-power card with the text activate. Create a 1-cost card at another location. Increase the cost each time you're winning here as the turn starts. This is a really cool card. You get this out on 2, and you see, if you win that location every single time, and you go into turn 6 and activate it, or turn 7, you're creating. Let's just do turn 6. You're creating a 4-cost card for free. That's really good. I think having to repeatedly contest that location to create a 4-cost where you might get like a Dracula or a Mr. Negative. That's the high end of that. Doesn't seem that good on its, but even just like getting a free 2-cost, like doing this early, that's pretty good. Just getting created cards on the board. But there's not a lot of like, Gambit doesn't want this. Gambit wants you to play those created cards. Victoria Hand doesn't want this because it wants you to create those cards in hand. So there's not a lot of inherent synergy in just like making something random and then like filling up your board space with it. I like this though. I just don't know how like this does not scream competitive to me. This is like a 5 out of 10 card. Mother Ascani. Give the leftmost card in your hand +2 power and -1 cost, then copy it. This is great. We care very much about copying cards. This V hand wants this. Any deck that would ongoing probably wants this. Just any deck that wants to get multiple like really cares about the text on the cards, which most decks in Marvel Snap do, would want Mother Ascani here. At a 4/4, that's a really bad stat line, old Moon Girl. But the fact that you are... So this is something you're playing late. On turn 4, you play this. You get that copied card. Oh, I'm looking at this. Like you do the +2 power, -1 cost, then copy it after the fact. That's insanely strong. If you're doing this twice on like a Camartage, or not that you're not going to Wong this realistically, but that's really powerful. That's really. Am I crazy here? I feel like it's really good. I'm going to give Mother Ascani here an 8 out of 10. That's a really good card. So that's it for the new cards. We're not going to talk about new locations here, but so in review, there's a lot of cards that we really just have to wait and see. Techno-Organic Virus, I don't feel super comfortable giving like a final stamp on. Strife is obviously quite good. Techno-Organic Virus, that's a wait and see type situation. Wolverine, I love to be good. Love for it to be a good Wolverine card. Archangel, yeah, destroy, maybe. Like Dormammu's never really been good. Afflict is Afflict. I don't see Polaris as the thing that's going to bring it back around. Storm looks great as long as you're doing that consistent floating, but you're going to want to do that on turn 1 and 2 because float energy on those later turns, assuming you don't have to. Even just chucking this into Erisham looks great. I hope it doesn't do anything to Star-Lord, though. Ascani Sun, randomness is random, but I like cards. I like the Iron Patriot thing of like making you want to contest its location. And then Mother Ascani just looks very strong. Copying, doing a power buff, reducing its cost, and copying it. Imagine you're hitting your Fing Fang Foom. This card might be this might be the card of the month, which is wild. But seems to be like there's going to be a lot of safe skips here. If you're not a hardcore destroy gamer or afflict gamer, unless these cards reinvigorate the archetype to the point where it becomes the best deck in the game, you're probably safe to skip. But I'm still excited. I like what they're doing. They're putting out unique, flavorful cards this month versus some of the stuff last month with like Juggernaut and Caliban, and even kind of Selene to an extent, which is just like a little snorefest. But I like that they're using these objective cards to focus like, hey, let's look at these archetypes and infuse some love into them. But Strife on the Seasons Pass is going to be interesting. So if you want more weekly meta reports, in-depth card reviews and deck guides, all the stuff in the world you need to improve your rank in Marvel Snap, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to be doing giveaways as the new season starts. We've got pack codes. We got PAX codes. We got season passes coming. So rest of this week, keep your eye out for that. We're going to have some good stuff coming your way. Please like the video, comment, all that good stuff. Really appreciate the support. And hey, while you're here, check out the video on your screen. It's another cool piece of Marvel Snap content. I'm Kicker of Elves. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.